Hi everyone, my name is Ierie, and this is Reminisce with This, where I take a little time out of my day to sit and reminisce with you on simpler times. I have collected so many different things over the years, physically, but also not physically. It's not always about the physical form of what you collect that holds dear, but the memories you collect along the way that play a part in why you continue to collect. At least for myself, it is. So today, it being Favorite Fridays, I decided why not continue from last week's video of my top 10 favorite male Marvel Legends figures. Now, there's one stipulation. Because I did the vast majority of X-Men figures last week, I figured why not put them off to the side for this week and show you my top 10 favorite Marvel Legends figures that are male but without the X-Men characters. Now, of course, this might be a little biased here, just because they are ones that I really do enjoy quite a bit, but at the same time, they're not always going to be at the highest or lowest that you normally would rate them. Now, that's okay. Everybody's opinions vary, and that's not a problem by any means. No one's right, no one's wrong. As long as you enjoy them, that's all that really matters, honestly. So, as we get into it, I hope you enjoy today and what I have configurated with my top 10 favorite male Marvel Legends. Now, there are multiple male Marvel Legends that I have that are my favorites, but this is just what I narrowed it down to the first top 10. Now, with that, we're going to go ahead and start with Hawkeye at number 10. Now, this is the one that comes with his vehicle. The only reason why he's not at a higher level for me personally is the fact that the stand that comes with the vehicle does not actually hold the vehicle itself. I'm constantly having to pose it up against a wall, so it kind of has a little bit of a steady structure to hold it up, because for some reason that the stand that it comes with just does not want to hold the vehicle, let alone the vehicle and the figure. But I really do love this figure. I love the coloration of it. I love that bright pop of the colors, whereas the other Hawkeye that I have is the dark configuration of the color, which I want to say was the Odin Allfather, that figure that I got. That's the one that I have prior to this one, but I really do love this one a little bit more. The other stipulation that I have issues with is the fact that they still have not been able to figure out how to not allow the paint from the bow to rub off on the figure's hands. That black paint is something that rubs off far too quickly, and it makes it hard for you to be able to enjoy the posing dynamics. You kind of have to be a little weary of how much you pose it, and that's, for me, someone that likes to pose my figures and change them around. It kind of leaves it to be a bit of a bummer, honestly. And also the fact that the hands themselves, I know there's ways of making the hands a little tighter over the time, but I don't want to keep taking a blow dryer to them and putting them in cold water and all that stuff to restructure them where they're able to hold the bow and the arrow without any issues. So that's my only stipulations there. Otherwise, I really like it with the cloth, I guess you could say the cloth banding or the belt. I really do like that. It does add for a little bit more of those dynamic poses. You can kind of move it. If it was wired, it would be a little bit easier to pose it, but if you're really patient with it, you can kind of move it where it looks like it's going in the wind. Next up, of course, because the last time I had my top 10 favorite figures, and I did have the one figure that was not X-Men related, but it was in my top 10, is of course going to be the opposite of the Wasp, and of course it's the Hank figure. Now, this is the only Ant-Man figure that I actually have in my collection, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not including the MCU related figures. I'm talking about comic related, and this is the one that I honestly wanted. Now, I do want to get a Scott figure of Ant-Man, but I really wanted to start with the original Hank Pym. And I really do enjoy this figure a lot. I am bummed that I missed out on that Giant Man HasLab at that time. It was just a rough period, and I wasn't able to get one of them. But not saying that I won't at some point, because I'm planning on hoping sometime in the future that I will. But I really loved this figure. I really do enjoy it quite a bit. It does give me quite a bit of a nostalgic time period of reading comics as a kid and having, Hank and all of the original Avengers. That's where I started off reading a lot of the comics that at the time was a lot of the older stories, to kind of get a little bit more aware of who the characters are. I kind of spaced there for a second. And that's honestly what a lot of those people at those comic book stores kind of pointed me to, was to get started on the older comics and then make my way through the newer ones, so that way I had a kind of an understanding of who each character really was and the type of figures that I've come to know and love, who they are and where I can place them in the teams and things like that. So this specific Hank is awesome. There is only going to be the slight issue of the fact that a lot of the figures, when you turn them, they have a huge gap on the hip. I wish that it was a little bit less noticeable, that when you do have them turned at a point. I get their toys, but when you turn them so much and there's a huge gap between their hip and their upper torso, that's where it becomes kind of not my favorite, but I still love the figure nonetheless, and that was at number 9. At number 8, though, is one of my favorite figures. I love this figure. It just makes me laugh, as, normally I've had this posed in all different types of scenes and things like that, but it's going to be my Hercules figure. Now, Hercules is pretty awesome for me, honestly. I really do enjoy this Hercules figure, primarily because I just think it's a lot of fun. I really do love this, the build of it. I think it's just a fun character overall. There are so many different storylines and things like that hold this Hercules figure to a fun time. I haven't dived too much into it, but getting this figure, when I saw it, I was like, oh, I gotta have that for my collection. It is awesome. I really do enjoy the figure itself. I can get it into a lot of dynamic poses and just, a lot of fun times to be able to kind of maneuver around with it. The only thing that I wish it came with, it did come with an accessory, a weapon, if you will, and the only thing that I wish it came with on top of that was actually an alt head, where he could kind of be a little bit more angrier, where, you can pose him in a fighting stance and stuff like that. So that's why he's at number 8, only for the lack of the fact that it does not come with that alternate head. But for the most part, he's a great figure. I really do enjoy it, honestly. The next up is going to be Justice. I really did not know a whole lot about this character until I started getting a little bit more familiar with the Young Justice League, the new Avengers, I should say, or, not Justice League, oh my gosh, the new Avengers, the Young Avengers. I got Justice and Justice League mixed up there, so I apologize, but I wasn't too familiar with the Young Avengers, and I had to kind of dive into them, and then when I read quite a few of their comics and stuff like that, and saw some of the points where he was a part of it, I was like quite keen on it, honestly. And then the figure itself is actually pretty awesome. I really do love that head sculpt there. Now, of course, I just think that it's pretty dynamic. The only thing that really hinders the figure, of course, like most figures, is honestly this cape. The cape, if they were a little bit more pliable, it wouldn't be so much of a nuisance, but at the end of the day, it's still a pretty awesome figure. He's kind of right at the forefront for my Young Avengers team. I don't necessarily have all of them, but for the most part, he's pretty a standout for me. I really do like the build of it. I like the posability, and overall, I just really enjoy the figure. The next up, of course, is Spider-Man as Bombastic Bag Man, and let me tell you, I love this figure. I was able to get this figure at Target when it released, and I just have enjoyed it so much. It's just one of those fun little figures that honestly, it's just a staple in one of my Fantastic Four collections, because I have a couple different boxes where they are all posed and stuff like that, and this is one of the ones that does fit a little bit better with those from the Walgreens exclusive. Now, I don't have all of the Walgreens exclusives, as the Thing and Human Torch kind of got past me, but I was able to at least get Susan Storm and, of course, Mr. Fantastic during that time. So at one point, I'll fork up the change to get both of those that I am missing to kind of have the full collection, but this figure really just helps it stand out a little bit more, where it doesn't look like too many are missing. I mean, it's noticeable, but not to the extent that it really bothers me. I really do like just the overall figure itself. You can see the eyes popping through the paper bag. You have that little kick me sign. I really do enjoy it. I've posed it multiple different ways, and honestly, it's just a fun figure. Of course, next up, coming in, that was Mr. Bombastic. Let's see. I just lost my count. Number 4. All right, so of course it's going to be Peter Parker Spider-Man as the Venom. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's who this is. Now, the description of the box kind of threw me off, but I'm pretty sure this is Spider-Man as Venom. Now, I really do like this figure. I like the face sculpt quite a bit, honestly. I think it gives it Peter Parker a little bit more of a different face style. Now, I could be wrong. It could actually be Dylan. I haven't gotten too much into a lot of the newer Spider-Man or a lot of the Spider-Man comics, just here and there a few. Where I can. I know there's plenty and a lot of Spider-Man comics, but I'm not necessarily sure if this is the Peter Parker Venom, because of course the one that I know is of the bigger Venom. So this could very much be that Peter Parker, if I'm not mistaken. So correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. I am fumbling the bag today. But with that being said, I really do like this figure a lot. I really do enjoy that it has kind of like that sleek, not shiny paint over it, but still a sleek paint job all over. It really does have a great placement of multiple different like posabilities. I really do like how I can put it in many different poses. It does come with this accessory here where, it can kind of play a part where, it just makes the figure a little bit more dynamic in the section of where I have all of my Spider-Man figures, depending on how I choose to pose it. So overall, I really do enjoy it. When it first came out, it took me a little bit to find it, but once I did, I picked it up super quick, simply because I don't necessarily have a whole lot of Venom adjacent figures. I have like this Space Venom that came in that 2-pack, and then this is the other one that I have. Trying to find Venom as well is super hard to get, just like those two Fantastic Four characters I mentioned prior. And unfortunately, I am going to just settle with this one for while I can, but it's well worth it, honestly. I really do enjoy it. And of course, next up at number 3 is going to be that Gamerverse Thanos. Now, originally, I had that Walmart exclusive Thanos from back in the day. I think it was a Walmart exclusive, but I ended up selling it, and you know, it was okay. It wasn't something that I really like enjoyed at that time. I didn't think it had a huge placement for my collection, as I was primarily trying to just collect X-Men figures. But as my collection has grown, I definitely need a Thanos for that, for parts of my collection. So I really do like this as the Gamerverse Thanos. I really do like how it is just overall. It's a bulky figure. I can definitely pose it a little bit here and there and to the way I would want it. Now, I really do love that it came in the 2-pack with Psylocke, as I probably wouldn't have picked him up singularly, or if he was in another 2-pack, simply because I really wanted that Psylocke figure. And of course, this Thanos, as I opened it up, I really do love the coloration of it. I love that it has just a very cartoonistic but realistic comic book-esque coloration for it. I really do feel like this is one that has popped out of the comics for me. I really do love this figure a lot, and I think that it stands out compared to a lot of the other figures that I have on my shelf, simply because of the coloration of it. That's where, when I look up to where all of my figures are at, where he is placed, my eyes draw right to him first, simply just for the color placement of the figure itself. Now, the next figure up at number 3 is, of course, the Doctor Strange figure. I absolutely love this figure. This was my first Doctor Strange figure. I know there's been multiple that have come out over the years, but I just didn't necessarily like the figures themselves. They never really caught my attention, as I just didn't think that they were honestly too well made, with the face sculpts and things like that. Like, don't get me wrong, they weren't horrible, but they weren't something that I was too pleased with, especially with some of them on the aftermarket being quite hard to get and quite expensive. It wasn't necessarily something that I was really willing to fork up quite a bit of money. The only other Doctor Stranges that I have, honestly, are going to be MCU related, but having a comic book Doctor Strange where it comes with different head sculpts, a lot of accessories, and just overall, it's great to have posed on my Avengers display. And you know, I have him kind of levitating on the display on the wall, so I really do like the fact that I can pose him and have him in all kinds of stuff, and it just makes sense because it's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange has a lot of weird scenarios that go on within the comics, and I just really think it's a fun figure. I think it's honestly just one of those figures that I, you know, catch myself wanting to pose around a bit more, change its dynamics and how I pose him on my displays. That's normally where I normally start, as well as I do have him primarily on that first focus, and I build the rest of the characters around my Doctor Strange figures, the ones that are at least on the wall. Now, like I said, I really do enjoy this figure a lot. The only stipulation, just like most figures like I've stated that have capes, is going to be the cape itself. I wish it was a little bit more of a pliable cape or had some kind of wiring in it where it made it easier to pose it. But at the end of the day, I really do enjoy the figure nonetheless. Coming in at number 2 is, of course, going to be this Captain America. I want to say this is the one that comes from, it's newly released. I am blanking on it currently. Shoot. It's I know it's recent, but I really do like the figure. I like how this isn't the first Captain America I've owned comic related. Now I do have a couple others here and there, but I really love this coloration. It kind of reminds me of that old school live action Captain America TV show that they had back in the day, where I had seen a little bit here and there growing up, but I really do love the coloration of it. It definitely stands out. I love the more of the vibrant color figures. Honestly, I'm more of a vibrant kind of person when it comes to just my general presence of like style and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I can be a little grungy and whatnot, but I do love the vibrant colors, especially in my figures, as I feel that they stand out quite a bit more from the darker toned figures of the color placements, and I get a lot of them, their costumes are darker and stuff like that, but for when it comes to this Captain America figure, I really enjoy it a lot. I love that of course, I just remembered, it's Secret Wars Captain America. Took me a second there, but I really do love the shield as it is damaged. I do have the other little pieces that you can kind of lay around as if, you know, he has the shield has broken, but he's not going to quit. And I just really love this. I love that it has the more of the aggressive face sculpt, as he's not going to, you know, quit, because that's just the type of person Cap is. But at the same time, I really do enjoy the figure quite a bit. It's the coloration for me. I really do love it. I love just being able to pose it. I could pose it in multiple different ways, as if he's about to lose the fight or if he's about to win the fight. To me, there's no really any way which way is wrong or right, but it just brings a lot of that imagination present, and I really do enjoy this figure a lot. Simply, again, just for that coloration. If a lot more characters had a little bit more of these vibrant colors, I think it would have been a lot harder to just narrow it down to 10 today. It probably would have been a little bit higher, honestly. Now, at my last one, coming in at number 1, of course, this is going to be one of my favorite figures, and it is the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. Now, I absolutely love this figure, not just simply for the fact that it did come with Mary Jane as Spinneret, but I absolutely love this figure. I love being able to pose it. I love the fact that it has the toe articulation on this figure, as hopefully we'll see more over the years to come, as I know there are a few figures that have been released since that have had it. This was one of the Spider-Mans that I actually have played around a lot more with over the years. Just simply for the fact that there's so much better like ab articulation, and you can get it into quite dynamic poses. And I just really enjoy this figure so much. It kind of reminds me of, as well, of the animated series. Now, I know that there are quite a bit of those figures out there for the animated series, but they always sell out so quick and I miss them. But being able to have this from that 2-pack, I really do love this figure. And I think that out of all of my Spider-Man characters or figures, this is my favorite. And I have quite a few of them, honestly, but this is one that I probably play around with more than most of my Avengers, most of the figures that I have here, and I'm constantly drawn to picking it up and just like posing it around and changing the scenery of the displays around him and how I can pose them more dynamically. And quite frankly, it's just an awesome figure. Like, I think that for what it was at the time, I still think it holds to this day. Now, I know a lot of people probably have gripes with it and this and that and the other, but quite frankly, I really love this figure. Now, I wish that they had more figures that come with toe articulation, just to kind of throw it back to the old Toy Biz Marvel Legend figures, as a lot more of those figures did have the toe articulation, but at the same time, I know toe articulation can, if you overplay with it, can get loose over time, and then it gets hard to pose the figures. So, I get it, but, I really do love this figure, and I do pose him around a lot, and I just think overall, for what it is, he's awesome. Like, I really do it's hard not to love this figure. Like, from start to finish, from top to bottom, all of the different points of articulation, it just holds the test of time for me. I really do love the figure, and it's just hard for me not to want to change up the display simply because I have played around with him, got him in a new pose, and I'm like, well, now that he's in a new pose, I kind of need to change everybody else to kind of fit the dynamic pose that I just posed him in. And honestly, I absolutely love this figure. I've had so much fun with it, posing it in goofy poses, and like, just overall, it's one of those that, like, I could not have been more happier to have gotten and put it in my collection, when there was quite a bit of, bob and weave with the community regarding if it was a good figure or not, simply because of the 2-pack it came in and how much of a disappointment the Mary Jane Spinneret figure was. But for me, I love both of them. I enjoy both of them, and I really do think that they are big placements within my collection. And growing up with Spider-Man the animated series alongside the X-Men animated series for those Marvel character shows, I could not love this figure more, as it just holds a little bit more of nostalgia for me. So that was my top 10 favorite Marvel Legends. A few mishaps here and there on my verbiage regarding certain characters and maybe a team or two, but at the same time, I really do love these figures. I really do love Marvel Legends, and I really cannot wait to get more into this over time regarding my favorite figures. Now, I'm hoping that at some point in time, I'll be able to get a little bit better with my video editing, but until then, this is what I got, and I appreciate you for hanging out with me and reminiscing a little bit. With that being said, I'm going to call it a night, as I got work tonight. So thank you for coming in, and of course, as usual, if no one's told you that you are loved, cherished, and or cared about today, just know I love you, I cherish you, and I care about you. You all have a great night, and I'll catch you later. Peace.